Goodness. Good morning, everybody. I gotta tell you, before we start, I was doing something last night with Fat Phil that did not end until like 12:30. And I've been up since 5:45, so I have a feeling that today is gonna be an interesting because I know we have a lot to talk about in terms of the road ahead and all of this information that we are receiving as a community. And then we also have a ton of roster views, and I'd like to get through at least a couple of them today before Sunday to kind of give those people a little reprieve on their rosters. So if I'm a little bit slow in the morning, I blame him. Hot Merchant Deer, good morning, guys. Well, Merchant, you and I have been chatting all morning, as it were. So I finished my GAC this morning, and it was a nice surprise because when I originally looked at this last night, I actually thought I was only going to be able to clear out these bottom two walls. Again, as a turtle, I don't often get to full clear things. My Jabba is a two-shot. I do that every time with the Night Sisters, so that was planned. That wasn't a mess up. But he placed, one, two, three, 4 GLs on D, and I managed to beat all of them using... I didn't even use C against the GL, actually. I managed to beat all of them with off-meta teams, which is nice. Leia just crumbled under Jar Jar. And then he had this weird Boss Nass with Queen Amidala team, which, by the way, does not work very well because Queen Amidala can't spawn her little guy when Boss Nass has his shield generator out. So it was a nice surprise. We'll see if he wins or if I win or whatever it is. Who knows? So the NS counter that some people use doesn't use zombie, and you use a really, really low character and you constantly let it die over and over and over and over again. I don't do it that way. I use my R8 Night Sisters completely. And personally, one of the reasons why I do is I've never felt like I lost because of those points, right? If a match is close, I've probably won it. If they full clear my board and I don't full clear their board, they've obviously won it. So I've never felt limited, and it's super easy to do, and I can pretty much throw it on auto, and you guys know that that's what I'm all about, right? Is throwing everything on auto. So last week we got a bunch of... let's see. Hold on. I want to just check Discord really quick. Did he put it up yet? No, not yet. That's fine. I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about this because I've talked to it with a bunch of people, but to kind of give anybody with questions just like a minute or two. We got the road ahead. We got a lot of information. Not specifically in the road ahead itself. The road ahead kind of felt light, right? And you guys know that on Discord I posted my own version of the road ahead, bringing together the update, bringing together what was in the road ahead, bringing together what was in the game. And then even after I posted that, they let us know about the upcoming puzzles, and they let us know about Jedi Cal coming back yesterday, and they let us know about Jar Jar coming back like an hour after they let us know about Jedi Cal coming back. So it was like this weird news cycle of craziness. And I don't know, it was very strange. But after seeing everything, I am pretty... I don't want to say pumped, but I'm prepared. I'm ready for Ahsoka. I'm sure I will second run Baylan just like I did with Bo-Katan. I didn't get her on first viewing, and that's fine, and I don't think everybody needs to do that. The raid came out. I don't know if anybody got to try the raid yet. I can't. I think we get tickets tonight. right? So as of right now, I'm raidless. It's kind of a shit system that different people get to start it on their own first day and try it out on different days, even if they want to try it on the day that the raid comes out. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard good things. I've heard people saying it's a lot easier to auto. I've heard bad things, that it takes a lot longer than speeder bike raid. I guess I'll find out for myself tomorrow, or actually maybe tonight, depending on what my family is doing and what I'm doing with my in-laws today. And we'll see. With Ahsoka coming up, I have like a 60-40 on her being required for the next raid. Her timeline is like November, December. The next raid should be out in like February. That kind of hits and aligns with both Leia and Jabba. So I think they're planning ahead for that next featured raid team already. They just kind of don't want to say anything about it because, well, it would be dumb to say something about it, right? Oh, God, coffee, I love you. Ooh. So, unless anybody has any notes on the road ahead or the information that we've received, let's just move right along. I'm going to pop this out. I don't need this anymore. And we'll go over to Discord and we'll try to get some of these reviews out of the way. Ooh. No, that's my guild's Discord. That's Phil's Discord. Where is mine? There it is. Okay, so we got 5 reviews. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all 5 of them today just because my time is really limited. We're going to see A Quiet Place 2 at like 10 a.m. It's 7:30 right now. I don't know if my wife's going to wake up that early, but we'll find out. And then we're heading over to her parents' house. But we'll get as many of these out as we can. So first up is Silky. Where is Silky? There he is. Nope, that's C squared. Perfect. Yeah, before we get into that, I feel like I am signaled that we're not going to see a major meta shift. And if you guys remember, I kind of said that I thought so. I thought that was probably the case. I am surprised we didn't get any type of fleet journey announcement, right? I'm surprised we didn't get anything for fleets, but to me that signals that Leviathan's fairly safe for a little bit longer. So those people that have maybe been holding off, it's maybe a good idea not to hold off any longer. I do still think we're going to see some soft shifts. So I do think we'll maybe get like 1 or 2 marquees and maybe we'll get a journey event. But it seems like the development cycle is pretty queued up with what we have going on, right? We have at least 3 marquees for GL Ahsoka. We have at least 2 marquees for Balin Skull, but you have Shin too, whose name I can never remember, and it's on the top of my head right now because I'm looking at my other monitor. So we have really 3 at least, and our marquees normally ship in sets of every 2 to 3 weeks. So with 6 of those times 2, that's 12 weeks minimum, 18 weeks maximum. There's not a lot of space for anything major going into the end of the year. Does that mean that we won't get something in January and they'll do it like as a 1.5 year mark? No, it's possible. But I do think Leviathan is fairly safe at this moment for most people. Alright, let's see what Silky's got up for us, shall we? We're at 14 minutes. I want to see if we can do this nice and easy this morning. So Silky's got a whole thing over here on Discord. Rebel Roundup 1, Military Might nothing, Forest Moon 1, Place of Power 2, Secrets and Shadows 0, soon to be CT 1, Inquisitor 0, Ground War 1, Building Executors start getting crystals from fleets, Top 15 is Leviathan. Rest is Executors, couple of Profundities. In top 100, picture is some farms I've got in mind. One idea on what to prioritize. Daniel, yeah, I got a little bit of time this morning because it's a holiday here, right? And as you would know, so I figured let me jump on and see if we can get some of these reviews out. I have not done the raid yet. My raid pops tonight. So I don't know if I'll go live tomorrow morning to try out the raid. It depends on a couple of factors, but that's a possibility. It's the summer for me, so I have a little bit more time on my hands. I'm sure you guys are reading this just fine. I cannot read this for the life of me. My eyes are getting worse. What are we looking to do? Treya, CLS, Gas, Maul, Darkside Mandos, Imp Troopers, Bounty Hunters, Night Sisters, Cat Padme, Inquisitors, Ufu, Malik is 220 of 330, Droids, Relic GG, or Farm JML into Jabba after Executor, or Jabba into Profundity into JML. Alright, let's take a look here, shall we? Let's pop this .gg up. Alright, let's see. Last updated 18. Oh no, Murder Bear's Picnic. Okay, so that's not. Daniel, right now it's just coffee. I don't know what I'm going to be drinking last night. Fat Phil and I did I thought it was going to be like an hour and a half thing. We did like a 3-hour thing last night that he'll release later today. And I had a really late night and really toasty. I had some rum, a bunch of craft beers. So right now I'm kicking it just with coffee to get me through the morning. And when he releases that, I'll tag everybody too, because I thought it was a great chat for anyone that wants to listen to us ramble on for 3 hours. Rank 84, SOKR 46, 5 million. Let's see what this is looking like. Okay, Supreme Leader, right, interesting. Darth Revan and Malik already at 8. Interesting. There's this great wing place by my my in-laws, Roosters. We're gonna probably end up going to today, and I'll probably drink light on the beers later. Let's see. Okay. Marauder. Oh, right. I'm looking for Executor, and he doesn't have Executor yet. He's working towards Executor. That TIE Bomber is now in shipments, right? So that should be a little bit quicker, which is nice. Rex. Let's check out some of these assault battles and see where we're at with this. Rebel Roundup is 1. We gotta go back to our collection. Oh, nothing yet, so we're still a little bit far away from that. At least we got one. One is important. We're doing not military might yet. We have CLS, we have Han, we have Chupio, we have Chewbacca. So we have the team. They're just not high up there yet. Honestly, with having the team, you can probably get and you sent this 6/24. It's about a week and a half later, so things may have changed. with that team using some of your best mods, right? So like, right, oh no, you do have them, okay. Even, honestly, even these mods, for how low your CLS team is, I've seen much worse with much higher teams. I would definitely, you know, like C3PO, get rid of this speed arrow with offense. It doesn't make sense. He doesn't need offense. It's get speed on there, but using some of your like mediocre to good mods, you can probably, if you invest these guys to like at least gear 10 and 11, you could probably do up to CT2. I did it before Chupio was even a thing, and I did it at CT2 with only R2D2 being, yeah, I'm not going on Twitch right now to, oh, man. I need like Twitch moderators. Who wants to deal with this shit for me? You can probably do military might pretty quickly is what we're trying to get at here, with where your CLS is, because you have the team, they're just not invested in yet. And the only one that is going to need Chirotech early on is Chupio. So you can probably bring those guys up to like G10, G11 without it being too much of an issue for you, right? Without there being too much problem. It's not a bad idea in the shorter term. Let's see. Places of power we're doing out 2, which is great. You have SLKR, so you can do it at 3, but I mean, it becomes an issue of time at that point, and if you don't want to spend the time, then that's something that, like, I get that. Like, that's, yeah, good. I get that, you know, that makes sense. Inquisitors, you don't have to worry about right now. Black Hammer, fuck you. I love you, fuck you. Ground War is at CT1, so that's pretty good. We were just having this conversation last night. CT1s are the important ones, especially in the early game. So you don't have to worry too much. Let's just take a look at what our gear tracker is saying here. Not the gear tracker, the gear needed. Oh, I guess I was right. It is the gear tracker. Leviathan, you're interestingly closer to than most people would be, obviously. R9 is really the problem, more than anything else. You have those two. Let's see where we're at here. Jackson, cheers. You know, we got a bunch of people in Australia and that area, and I know it can be weird times. Hopefully, and Huncho too, you know, cheers. It's the summer. I can do a little bit more during these weirder times, so, you know, hopefully you get to hang out a little bit more with me this summer as we try some different stuff and have some fun with it. That's what it's about for me, is having some fun. Oh, God. Yeah, I know. It's early for you guys in the United States that aren't on the East Coast right now. It was either come on this early today or not at all, and I wanted to come on and hang out a little bit. So where's our executor? 720. Okay, it's not that bad. Profundity. Jabba's pretty far, but it's important. Let's just check out where our JML stuff is at, right? That's always important. Rebel Officer Leia's a little further away. Don't even have Wampa unlocked. We do have Hermit Yoda at 7 stars now. Okay, so that's good. What I would say here, definitely gun it towards Executor. You need those fleet crystals. Executor can beat Leviathan. You'll have to watch the videos on that, but at 7 stars, it can do it. And I've seen it do it at less than 7 stars, but it's obviously not going to be reliable at that point. I would like to see you at least getting fleet crystals. You have Wampa at 7. You don't even have, you have Hoda at 7. You don't even have Wampa unlocked yet, so it's going to be a while, which is fine because you also have some time for Rebel Officer Leia as well. Just make sure that when you're doing those bounty events that you're prioritizing Rebel Officer Leia versus Wampa. I don't remember if they're in the same event or not, if it's like Bounty 1 versus Bounty 2, but Rebel Officer Leia is going to be your priority shards. Just because you don't want to have to spend Get 2 towards Rebel Officer Leia, whereas Get 1 is not that big of a deal with Wampa. And I'd like to see you get as many of those shards for Rebel Officer Leia for free as possible. And when I say free, I mean those bounty events rather than having to spend your Get 2. So it's okay for us to kind of slow down a little bit in this time while we're getting Executor. After you get Executor, just while you're still working on Jedi Knight Luke, right, and getting Rebel Officer Leia and Wampa to where they need to be, I would say on your list of teams, CLS is a really safe bet because it'll help you towards Jedi Knight Luke, and it's going to help you towards assault battles, and it's going to help you with Conquest, and really every game mode. CLS is just a really, really solid team. So that's a super safe one to go towards. Piet is, and the Imp Troopers, the old Imp Trooper team, it's also a pretty safe team to go towards because it's very low investment, and you're already going to have Piet at Relic 8, right? So like your Veer, Stark, Range, and Dark Trooper, that's not a bad idea to go for 2. It's going to help you with assault battles, and it's also going to give you a pretty good push-up team for earlier on in the game. Trey is a great character. I don't think you need her right now. Gas is a great character. Now is going to be getting some extra relevance because of Ahsoka. I don't think Ahsoka is something that's on your radar. BH, you'll start to work towards that team when you start working for Jabba, so I don't think you need to work on it too early. Cat Padme, again, I don't think you need to work on it too early just because Cat works really great. She's a great plug-and-play team character, but her bread and butter is really with Jedi Knight Luke, so you'll get a decent team with that, but you have more important things to work on. And kind of the same thing with that Ufu team with Malicos. I'm at the point in the game where I should have it. I don't have it yet. Mine's still G12, but I should. I think you're still in that ROI point of the game where you need to be focusing on your back end rather than your front end. So I think in this list, really, Imp Troopers and CLS are the only things that should be kind of priorities while you're working on Wampa and while you're working on getting Rebel Officer Leia up there as well. In terms of your overall, hey, what should I do? I think that Jedi Master Luke before Jabba makes sense in your particular case. Sometimes I flip it, sometimes I say Jabba first. I think Jedi Master Luke makes sense for you because as an account that's already doing Conquest, Jedi Master Luke really helps you push up there. It's going to build out your ROI a little bit more than Jabba. But Jabba definitely needs to be quick behind him because you're going to want Smuggler's Run 2 as well. And I think at that point is when you can make the case for doing something that's maybe a little bit more fun for you, right? So if we're doing Executor, take a little break for CLS and Imp Troopers, just specifically to give you time for Rebel Officer Leia and the Wampa. And then I would do JML into Jabba for you. Should you go profundity after that? I think there's a really good case to do it. I think having a second GL ship is super useful for players, and I think it does allow you to slow farm the second ship, which is really nice. But it's at that point, once you have those ROI factors, where you can do some of these like core teams, right? If we go back to Discord, where is it? There. So these core teams that you're talking about, that you're like, hey, I kind of want to work on these things. After Java is the time where you can start to say, you know what, I can take a break from all of the big stuff and start working towards some of the more small stuff, because you'll have built out that ROI. One thing I will say is, like, I love that you have this chart with like the zetas owned and the zetas needed and tracking how much of a deficit you're going to be in. Going for profundity after Java is not a bad move when you're in a big zeta deficit, because ships don't need zetas. So it gives you a long farm to work on while you're working on filling out the teams that you want to fill out with the zetas that you're having trouble getting at this point. And even though I don't know where you are in terms of Malgus and Fury class, you have a lot of those characters at higher relics, where it might even make sense to go after Leviathan at some point after Profundity, just to slow yourself down again, so that you can work on getting those zeta out of those zeta deficits for some of the characters that you currently have. Now, you don't have Malgus yet, and Malgus is going to be zeta hungry, and Malgus, it makes sense to zeta, so that's going to be problematic too. But that's more of an aside after Profundity. That's how I would do it. I don't think that there's too much ambiguity at that point. It is a long farm. I will say, once you get Executor and you start hitting some degree of fleet crystals, things will speed up a little bit faster for you, and it'll make things a little bit easier for you. But from there, I think we're where we need to be. Let's see. Yeah, me feeling really good. Yeah, Jackson, man, that's kind of why it's part of the reason that I do it. You know, I love the game. I really do. I get a lot of shit. I'm very critical of the dev team sometimes. But I enjoy the game. I want other people to enjoy the game. I want the game to be around for a long time. So I like helping you guys and talking to you guys and talking you through the things that I had to do, and hopefully giving you that ability to say, oh, hey, now that I know what to do, it's easier for me to enjoy what I'm doing. Limestone, cheers. I'm not going to say it here because I gave it to Bones for Three Scoundrels last night, but I wrote a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes speech using the Bill Pullman speech. So later on, if you guys are interested in that, you can head over to the Three Scoundrels and listen to their episode. I've listened to about an hour of it so far, and it's good stuff. Captain Amazing was on there last night, and he can hold his own 100%. He had me laughing my ass off listening to what I did listen to. And Huncho, I don't know if you're on our Discord or not. I'm not 100% sure, but if you're not, I ask people to fill out a little bit of a quick survey before I do a review for them, because it helps me to do it a little bit quicker, right? Instead of taking 30 minutes to go through things, it's easy to answer that in 5 minutes. And it helps me to know to tell you guys what to do, because people come back and they're like, oh, I want this farm, and this farm is fun, and it allows me to like path things for people. I actually don't even know if we're going to get through all of my reviews this morning, especially with how much I like to talk. Let's see. What's the time here? 33, 34. Let's say 34. Go over here. I'm on Discord. Yes, I am. Dude, I didn't listen to the whole thing Jack, but when they were talking about the puzzles and he was like, "Can I go first? Is that okay?" And then Logan went on a little rant and he was like, what did he say? He said something along the lines of, "Oh, you could have just told me no and to fuck off." He had me cackling. It was just so funny. I can't wait. I can't wait to listen to the rest of it today or tomorrow. Yeah, and speaking of Jar Jar, by the way, I heard with this raid, I'm going to have to change these timestamps. The 4-man Gungan team does really well, especially with the Omicron, which is only 10 mats. So you don't even need Jar Jar, but you should get him because Jar Jar is awesome. And I've heard that with the Omicron and Jar Jar, you can practically auto to a max score, which is what I'm excited to try and see. I'll play it for fun the first couple of times, but I imagine I'll get bored really easily. All right, we're going to change this timestamp to 35. Let's check this out. Oh boy. Not sure where I am at with assault battles. I think I'm... I think I'm second in most. I've got good Sith, okay Troopers, okay Jedi, okay Phoenix, except Fanatical Devotion. I got 1 in fleet battles whenever I can be bothered climbing, as I coordinate well, and it's just Executor Mirrors. I've completed C and vaguely been working on JML, but without much focus. I'm after some guidance on next steps and if JML is worth it, and suggestions for my best GAC teams would also be great, as I have a pretty suboptimal ones, I think. We'll pay the beer tax. I had a review for you a while ago that was great. All right, let's check this out. Jackson, if you go to my area, Discord is really weird because it like highlights and stops things, and some things are not default. But if you go to the section that says Egnards roster reviews, there's 3 channels. There's my information one that tells you the questions. There's the roster review section where you put in the request, and then there's the testimonial section under it. But if you can't find it because it's hidden for some reason, I'll tag you in it. I'll tag you in it later after I get off. Just let me know if you find it. All right, let's see. Let's pop over here. He did. I was there for one of the Fuck You Boneses, and I loved it. I was like, man, you make me so proud. And I almost want to finish up our stream super quick because I know he's on right now. And I hate streaming when he's streaming because he's much smarter than I am. And I'd love to give him a little bit of love as well. But I love that guy. I really do. He did a great job on the with the 3 scoundrels. Cheers, C-Squared. Happy 4th. Arhain, Chromium 5, 5 million with C and with Executor, so good, as long as I get the time commitment of having to do the battles to first, but you can do it, you can get those battles in, so we're not going to be too concerned about it, especially if you're fully invested there. In terms of your assault battles, let's just take a look. Imp Troopers. Oh, these are not bad. Honestly, if you take the time to remod these guys, and it's definitely worth it, right? Like Piet, Speed Arrow. Otherwise, the speeds are not awful, but I'd like to definitely see more speed. Really, you want Piet to go first. You need him to have a really fast turn. Again, the mods are not bad for where you are in the game. But if you really focus and put like your strongest mods on this team just for the event, same thing, Stark, Speed Arrow. 99% of things need a Speed Arrow. There are a couple exceptions. But if you get these guys up and you do like Veers, Stark, Piet, Dark Trooper, and a Range Trooper is really the go-to, is the important one here. But maybe you can make it work with Snow Trooper. Maybe you can make it work with Moff Gideon. You can do CT3 of Forest Moon. And you might be able to do CT3 of Rebel Roundup with a lot of retries, but it sounds like your time is at a premium, so I wouldn't worry too much about CT3 there. Your Sith, you should be able to do, well, let's see, do Papa Pjelp, Sith. All right, maybe you're not doing CT3 just yet, but if you do like Papa Palp lead, Sith Eternal, let's check this out here. Sith Eternal, give him an, I love that he has 22 speed on this arrow. This is like a JMK arrow because it's high speed and he misses a lot. You want a health arrow on this guy. You want him to have high health. Everything high health. But between Palp as lead, Sith Eternal, Traya, I'd love to see just a little bit higher. You have the Omicron, invest in it a little bit more. Trying to think of who you can do it with easily. I like Dooku, actually, for places of power just because he counters so much that he heals a lot. But we really need to get a tank in there. Nihilus is a great low effort option because he pairs well with Traya for that GAC team. And with those deletes that he has, he can kind of really underman that places of power CT2 and CT3, even at like G11 and G12. God damn it, amazing. Look at this piece of shit. Cap, I was trying to finish early today and raid you. God damn it. I was all like, all right, we're going to do this really, really fast. We're going to go through as quickly as possible, and I'm going to raid Cap for once. But you know what? I'm going to pause this for a second to say, Cap, I was literally just talking about this. I have only listened to about an hour of Three Scoundrels so far, and you fucking knocked it out of the park, man. You held your own. If all of you guys who are just watching him, if you haven't listened to Three Scoundrels, he was a funny motherfucker. I was cackling at the shit you were saying, and I cannot wait to listen to the rest of it. I am pumped to listen to the rest of it. You knocked it out of the fucking park on your first Three Scoundrels. All right, back to this. Let's see. Where are Rebels at? Rebels. Commander Luke. Han Solo. Okay, so we really haven't invested in the CLS team yet. Where are the Phoenix as a whole? I hate the way that this works now with these things. There it is. Man, Cap knocked it out of the park, dude. 100%. All right, these guys, you should be able to do Secrets of Shadows at CT1, so you shouldn't have too much problem here. It's really just Fanatical Devotion, right? So, yeah, they're not even invested in. We don't even have to worry about them right now. So your main question here was, is JML worth it? The answer is yes. JML is so beyond worth it, and it's going to do a couple things for you, but I just want to see how close you are to the 3. Wampa's at R3 already, cool. Hermit, you have at 7 already, awesome. Rebel Officer Leia, perfect. You have her at the 7 already, excellent. So that's like the hardest part. So JML is going to do a lot for you as a player, because you are a 5 million account. You are doing Conquest. JML is hands down the best Conquest unit, and it allows people to punch up considerably. Now, this is the first Conquest in a while that we did not have Oh, good. So you have what? That we didn't have voluntary Vanguard, and without voluntary Vanguard, you kind of need to use Watt if you want to really, really punch up without super strong teams. But he is going to change the game on Conquest for you. And he's also another one of those characters who's really good at proving ground. So you have C, who's also really good. It gives you another option. But it's also going to give you CT3 in Ground War and CT3 in Military Might. So it's going to help your ROI on the back end. So yes, to really answer your question, JML it's a smart farm for you right now to 100% be going for it, hands down, no questions asked. And I'm not even going to look at the gear tracker. Honestly, the next best thing after that is Jabba, because that's going to help you with your modding, and it's going to help you with Rebel Roundup, right? You're in that weird, it's not a weird space. You're in that earlier space where you're still working on your back end ROI in order to be able to do whatever you want to do. Cap, yeah, I did my GAC early this morning because I knew I wouldn't have a lot of time on stream, and I wanted to be able to get a couple of these roster reviews out for the people, by the people, for our favorite holiday. And I full cleared, which was awesome. You're right. I do need to +1 the Jabba counter. You're in that area of the game where doing the JML into Jabba just really, really makes sense. Now, in terms of like GAC teams and like what it makes sense for you to do, now one, I will tell you, I know he makes fun of me for saying this, Cap is like my GAC guy. He's much smarter than me. He's taken over my account. He's done stuff. He is like, you want to talk GAC, he does other stuff too. I don't want to like pigeonhole him, but he is super smart at that stuff and figuring out how to make things work. But what you should be doing right now is looking at some of the teams that you kind of have that you haven't fully finished, right? Like your Imperial Troopers team, they're great in GAC at your level. I don't use them as much anymore. But you already have the Executor and the C requirements here. And if you do like Dark Trooper and Ranged Trooper, you're going to have a very serviceable Imperial Troopers team, and that's worth its weight in gold, especially at the lower end of GAC. We look at our Sith team, right? You have the Traya Omicron, but you don't have any of the rest of her team. I personally haven't even bothered taking Scion past G12. But Nihilus is part of the vehicle that makes Traya work, and she's also really good in Conquest as well for kind of under-gearing things. So getting Nihilus up is going to kind of help you in that regard, as well. We look at, like, just pull it up. I hate how slow this sometimes runs, but we look at like your Sith Empire. You have Darth Revan. You have Bastilla Shan. I'd love to see you get Malik more in the short term to kind of shore up that team. It's just, you have these teams that are just not quite there yet, but they're very close to being there. Your CLS team, that'll be solved by going for Jedi Master Luke, so I'm not too worried about that. Beskar, Mando, yeah, that's fine. That Phoenix team, I'd probably put that Omicron on Captain Rex, because it looks like you bought that Lightspeed bundle, and that's a vehicle that really helps Phoenix perform in GAC as a really strong squad. See if there's anything else that looks... There's nothing else that's kind of like glaring when we talk about things that you're going to be doing anyway, based on the projects that I've kind of already isolated as being super important. I don't put Rexcron on defense at my level, but it puts in so much work for me. I use it almost every GAC. I love the team. They've been a little on hold now because of Riva and having her cron, and I'd rather just Sith Empire it. Tools. But especially when we think about the lower end where you don't have as much going on. Gear tracker. Okay. Cal 1200. I can imagine. It's a hard team to contend with in Chromium. I can 100% imagine. And so you've bought these Lightspeed bundles, and I can tell because these are like the exacts. I hope when I look at your Discord message, you're saying you're working on JML. I hope you finish SLKR first because you're literally right there. And that'll finish up that team for you. Ray is not a bad GL for people who get the Lightspeed bundle because you get she's a mediocre GL before you get Ben. Once you have Ben, it's a game changer. But the B team with Zori, it gives you a secondary easy team. So I would really consider that as being something that doesn't need to be done right this second. But when we talk about like going Kylo into JML, into Jabba, work on Rey a little bit in the background. Work on getting Zori up a little bit in the background so that once you do have Rey and once you do have Ben, it jumps you by 2 teams instead of 1. I was not on the Zori train at first, and it took me a long time to give her the Omicron. She puts in a ton of work, even at lower gears. And she's the only one in the team that you have to farm. You have the rest of the team farmed from having done the Lightspeed bundles. So I think that it kind of gives you like a next 8 to 12 months of your game time where you should be working on those things, and you'll see a considerable change in your roster and your roster depth and how you're working in GAC and with Cap. Go talk to him too. He loves to deep dive into like the GAC actual like matchups, and he'll find what works for you. Hands down, he's like a fucking wizard at that. Her ship is a game changer for the Radish fleet. For the Radish fleet, it makes the fleet work, but it's still a mediocre fleet, right? Like I use it now a little bit sometimes, but it's not an amazing fleet still. I still would put it. No, I mean it's kind of on par with First Order. I think it's a little bit less situational than First Order, but with so many options at the higher end, it's not something that I use often, but it does. Comeuppance has changed the game for that fleet, hands down, definitely. We're going to move on. I want to be able to get at least one more done today because I promised this guy I'd get it done today. So let's see. I'm on this right now. We're going back to Discord. This is one of my favorite names of a player ever. AferalPlatypus. I love that his name is AferalPlatypus. It makes me so happy on the inside. Mostly Leviathan, the top 20. I generally place first daily. No fleet Discord that I'm aware of. When people say no fleet Discord that I'm aware of, it tells me that maybe you didn't check. I would reach out to people. I did a quick video on how to reach out if you haven't done that already. Just because even though you're getting first, part of the point of the fleet Discord is to know who to hit so that everybody has to do less battles. And on some days, I only have to do one battle because my fleet Discord, they see like, oh, like he has his payout's coming up in 2 hours. If I can move around him, then I can move around him. I would look, and if you did look and you just haven't heard back from people, if you're getting first, it's not that big of a deal. Salt Battles, CT3 and all except CT2 and Fanatical Devotion. Currently working on Bo Mandalore and Jar Jar. I wanted to go for oh, God. I wish I were drinking alcohol right now. Wanted to go for Jabba, but I don't want to fall behind the 8-ball. Open to change. General view. I know you've looked at my account on Reddit previously. I was wondering if you could help with suggested Zetas, possible improvement of relic levels, possible characters focused down on modding. I have a good handle on mods, so I'm not asking for mod walkthrough. I'm more like specific tunes should be hitting X amount of speed. Or again, if you have a suggested farming path. It's a marvel of a creature that's high in the game and does not... that does not have Jabba at this level. But it's alright. Let's see. The name is Zane, just to double check here. Yeah, and creating your own fleet Discord works too. I love when I only have to do one battle. And some days, other guys who are not in our fleet Discord, who we've invited in, we haven't heard back from them. When they push me to like 20, it sucks. But most days, I'm at like 6 at the beginning of the day, and I'll just do my one battle to 2 and call it a day. I won't even bother going for first because it's not worth my time. Australian Commandos. I see the Australians all the time. I love it. I really do. I have like this little Aussie following, which is, it tickles me that there's so many people on the other side of the world. So 10.1 million, no Jabba. I hate it. But I get your mentality. I understand why you did it. So I'm not mad. I'm just a little bit disappointed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we are missing Lord Vader, I like my Lord Vader, but he's not as important as a player. Cap, that's awesome. I wish I could do that but that's also a nice thing about a fleet Discord is hey, there's nobody within these hours, so I can keep moving up. Right, that's another big thing when it comes to these fleet Discords. C squared, man, yeah, I mean, perfect no Jabba account for you guys. I love that my ad that I did for you is working out and people are finding it funny. We'll do more in the future just because it's silly. So we're at 10 million. We have 6 GL. Lord Vader is not super important, but I do like Lord Vader. It looks like we do not have Riva yet unless it's low gear, but you're probably farming it. You can do CT3 of Fanatical Devotion without Riva. I just don't think it's worth it to do. I think it makes more sense to wait because it's such a pain in the ass and takes a ton of time. So I think you're okay with that right now. Don't spend too much time or effort on that. Want to see is where your Gungans are at. Okay. So you wanted to farm up the Gungans, but we're not there yet. I drop out of the top 10 like twice a week, and it doesn't bother me. 415. We're looking at an average of 8. What are our raids looking at? Oh, thank you. I have a problem where sometimes I forget my sources. So I like when you guys yell at me and tell me to change it over. I get sidetracked by the chat, and then my ADD kicks in. So the speeder bike, we're doing the 135. Now, I have not done the newest raid yet. Mine will pop off today, and I'll get to try it for the first time, but I have heard things from people on the raid server. I have heard things from other content creators. I have heard people chatting about what it's like. So I have a little bit of an idea of the teams, but I'm not quite there yet. Let's see. So it seems like, because I'm trying to think about your teams for the raid in relation to your guild. I'm hearing that this B2 led team, because of the bonuses, works really, really well. And it seems like it might be overperforming, so it might get nerfed a little bit. I don't know to what degree or if they're even going to bother. But as of right now, that B2 led team for the Separatist droids seems to work pretty decently. I don't know if it needs stop to really work or not. I'm not completely tuned in that yet because that's still relatively new. Yeah, I've heard it's finicky. I've heard the B2 team works really well. I've heard the Gungan team works really well, and with the Omicron, you don't even need Jar Jar. I got the Omicron anyway because I said I was going to. But we'll try it tonight, and we'll find out. Or maybe I'll wait till tomorrow morning, and maybe we'll do it in the morning. It looks like you did buy the pass, the Lightspeed bundle, and I'm hearing the Luminara team, though her Zeta is, I'm told, pretty much mandatory for her team to work. The Luminara-led team, I don't know the specifics, but we're talking about like Luminara, Kit Fisto. I think some people have actually been putting Beck in that team, but again, we're still learning this stuff. The point is the Luminara-led Lightspeed bundle team with her Zeta apparently performs really well as well. So my point is that from a raid perspective, you are already in a position where you're probably going to perform at the expectation that your guild currently expects. Which means that I don't feel like Jar Jar should be a major priority for you. I know, and you're not going to get it. Here's the thing, like, you're not getting Jar Jar in a month unless you put in a ton of work towards him, and he's coming back in August, right? So you have, if we were to go back to your collection, all right, so let's go back to this collection here, and let's go back to your Gungans here. Right, so like Boomadir, I think you will be ready. I can't read that right now. Consensus, accessible lower team is replace ETH and let's be with GMY. Interesting, thank you. That's good to know for my raid attempts, you know, going in tomorrow. So we look at like Boomadir, who's at over 100 shards away, right? And if we kind of do the math on there, because I believe, is it Tarple is the Cantina farm? It's either Tarple or Boss Nass, one of them. I think it's Tarple. Well, the drop rate is still the same. 100 times 3 divided by 5. Payment to Apple Service. Oh, for Temple Run. Rayrock, I just want to confirm, because the way that you're talking, like, this is not your account, right? You're talking your own Jar Jar account, and where you are. Because a lot of your responses make it seem like this is your account, and if it is, I want to sync up those responses to be correct. Okay, he's not. I can already confirm because the relics. But so if we look at this here, like Boomadir is at the point where you have at least 100, right? Probably more than that because he's still 5-star. And if you're doing that at like 15 battles a day, that's still going to take you like 20 days to get done. Which you can do, and you'll make the cutoff, but there's a lot of gearing. Without spending, I don't see you getting these Gungans up in time for Jar Jar, which makes him less of a priority. I do think that if your guild needs you to do more work in the raid, you can gear these guys up. That's that's completely fine. And you can use them as a 4-man in the raid, and with the Boomadir Omicron, you can put in plenty of work from what I'm hearing. I'm not saying you should do that, but what I'm saying is that's a really low cost option if your guild needs you to do more. But from what I've seen of your roster so far, it looks like you're going to be at or exceed your guild's expectation, and it should not necessarily be the biggest priority for you. Let's see what these Beck requirements look like right now. There we go. I say Beck requirements, but I mean, what's her name? Bo-Katan. IG 11, IG 12, okay. Paz, still working on. Let's just see what our, you have Bosch because you have Leia, Persantan, and Skiff. All right. So what I think you should be doing at this, well, let me just take a look at this too. Tools, gear tracker. Let's see where your other guys are here, shall we? It's not terrible. You already have that. You should have that. Afro we don't care about. Bo-Katan. Jar Jar. Do you have all three? It looks like you have all three. And I'm just curious here for funsies, 15. Okay, so from a perspective of like what you should be doing as an account in terms of your projects right now, I think that Jabba is the most important of the projects based on where you're at. You know, again, you're kind of going to be exceeding expectations for your guild. And you can low cost to those Gungans based on how well that Omicron is performing if you really so choose to do so. And it's going to be very hard for you to get Jar Jar in this cycle, and you're going to have to wait another 3 to 4 months, which makes the ROI on him specifically very low for you. What I would say to do is, look, continue on the path of Bo-Katan Mandalore if you want. You're pretty close shards wise, so it's not going to hurt you too much to do that. If you want to do it, it's going to only set you back a very small amount. But I would absolutely start slow farming Skiff right away. Jabba needs to be a more short-term project for you. And I don't want to say he's going to be more important than Ahsoka, but we don't know anything about the ROI behind Ahsoka right now, and we have like 4 to 5 months on her. And I want to go back to what the Three Scoundrels and give credit where credit is due, because this is kind of the point in the episode where I stopped listening, and I'll listen to the rest later. But Captain Amazing made a really good point, I think, when talking on Three Scoundrels about the cost of Ahsoka. And I don't know if I agree with you, Cap, that Baylan Skoll is going to be a requirement. I don't think he's going to be. I don't particularly think Ezra's going to be a requirement, but if they do, I actually think it's going to be relatively friendly to do that for people in our position as 10, 11, 9 million accounts. But I do think she's going to be expensive. I do think that we are going to see at least 1 more R9 as part of our requirements, if not 2 more R9s as part of those requirements. So I think she's going to be a very expensive GL to get, and she's going to fucking slap because of it. But it's going to take a while to get. I'm thinking 4 marquees. And by the time these marquees start to become farmable for you, you will have finished or be close to finishing Jabba anyway. If we want to stay the path with where you are right now, I would say finish Bo-Katan Mandalore, start slow farming Skiff right away, and then jump right into Skiff. Jump right into Jabba and get Jabba out of the way. You can continue slow farming your Gungans if you want to use them for the raid, right? And when you get to the point where you're starting to relic Jabba stuff, you can, of course, use Chirotech towards them too and bring up to like G12, R1, R2. But I think that you're going to be performing fine for your guild between your Separatists and your Luminara squad. That based on where your guild is with Speeder, you are not going to have to put in more work, and you'll still already be doing pretty well. In terms of like specifics, when we talk about, you know, like Zetas that you should have and like Omicrons that you should have, we can kind of take a look, and we'll bring the Jabba tracker up as well, because we're telling people, hey, yes, like you got to do Jabba. He's super important to the account. Let's see, what Omicron? I like the Mara Jade Omicron, but I'm not going to tell people to do TW Omicrons. That's a very guild-centric thing. As a guild, my guild tries to, we try to prioritize like one guild TW Omicron a year. And that was one that we did a few years ago, and I don't hate it, but that's a guild-specific thing. Based on what you have, I do think that the Zori, we talked about this in the last review, the Zori Omicron is game-changing for her, and because you have Rey, that is just a super easy one to go for. Cursitans, you don't really need too much, and you don't have Jabba yet anyway. I believe that this is the lower end Star Killer one, so you don't really need that. No. So, in terms of Omicrons, I think that the only glaring omission that you have right now is the Zori one, wherever she is. I would definitely highly recommend that one. Ryrock, we don't prioritize TW. Our only rule in TW is if you join, you have to participate. And that's assuming that something doesn't happen, because we get it. Real life stuff happens sometimes. But I don't know. I don't even know how many TW Omicrons I have. I have a couple of them. I do them for the guild. But they're not useful on a one-off kind of thing. They're more useful as a guild collective to do a whole wall. So we do like one, maybe sometimes two, depending on how impactful they are. We don't really care about TW. That's a guild. You know, that's a guild by guild basis. Let's see what we're missing on these Zetas. That is steep. That is 15 is a lot. But if you're doing that, you have to be in a real big TW guild. I'm just pulling up my game on my phone real quick to see a couple things with some of these Zetas, so I don't have to keep clicking in and out. Yeah, we lose all the time, but we also don't care. We don't prioritize it. We're happy with where we are. We nobody in the guild really likes doing it. I would do the key ID Mundi. Definitely, that 30 speed is a game changer on the Jedi Council. Hands down, that's an important one. If you're going to be going for Bo-Katan Mandalore, I would definitely be doing the Keller and Beck ones. It kind of transforms that team, and you can kind of you can either do a Keller and Beck team if you want, or you can do him as part of a Qui-Gon team. I've seen both done. I see the Keller and Beck done more often now, and it's a little bit, it's a lot harder to beat. So I'd definitely be doing that one. I would definitely be doing Zori's if you're going to Omicron her, and I've already made the case where, like, yeah, that's something you should be doing, because you already have the team available to you under her. Yeah, we could talk Datacrons till we're blue in the face, man. I don't prioritize my Datacrons. I do farm them. I'm not someone who says don't farm them. In this last set, I think I got 6 level 9s, and I did have to re-roll a little bit to get them. But as a 50% player, as somebody who's not trying to push Kyber 1 and who knows that 50% mark, I put in as little effort as possible into my GAC, and I turtle the hell out of it, and I do pretty well turtling the hell out of it. We were looking at it last night, and I have an overall, I think it's a 57% in the last couple of events and a 51%, and that's exactly where CG wants to keep me, so I'm not heavily investing. Tazinex, you tickled me on Reddit yesterday with your ew comment, so I'm not going to say my normal today. It made me laugh. But cheers, brother. What is the Mace Windu one? Light side. Jedi. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, LOL, he is a funny guy. I don't know if that's necessary for where you are, if you're in like a little bit of a Zeta crunch right now. What is Finn's lead? Resistance. Ooh, I can hear my wife waking up. I didn't think that would happen. I would probably do Finn's lead as well, especially if you're going to invest in the Omicron for Zori. I think it'll be useful because he's going to be the leader for that team. So going with that Zeta is going to be important for you. There's not too many on this list that are too crazy with where you are. Again, there's just those couple that I kind of said, hey, these, just looking at what your roster looks like right now, that's probably where you want to be. But again, I cannot stress enough how important Jabba is going to be for you. When it comes to modding, I know you're not looking for like a full-on guide for modding. I'm not. I very rarely look at mods when I do roster reviews because I kind of rely on people to do their own due diligence in that regard. I don't think it's as important to look at because there is some RNG there in what mods you get and how lucky you are. There are some characters that obviously you want to be like super fast, or as fast as possible, right? The faster they are, the better for their team. So like Mara Jade, yours has 155 mod speed. It's probably better than mine, honestly. I don't know. Mine has 162 mod speed. Faster she is, the better she is. Somebody like Piet, you've got 159 mod speed. Faster he is, the better he is. Mine is actually less than yours, 146. So you're in pretty good shape there. Oh my goodness. My army is online. Locked and ready to go. I love you guys. I really do. JML, you've got 169. Mine's at 164. So it seems like you're in good shape with where you are. JMK 170, mine's at 173, basically kind of the same thing. I think that what it comes down to, Star Killer 105. I found I like my Star Killer to be nice and fast personally. And I just got some really nice new mods for him. Mine is 149, so a lot faster, but without a speed set, obviously. Um, let's see. I want to see something else though. But this is somewhere where when I go on in the morning to watch like Captain Amazing, he likes to play his mod games and he likes to play the speed games. And I don't think he goes crazy into the mods, but he does talk about them a lot more than I do. We're gonna change this to power level. And he has his modding guide. Like he has considerable knowledge there. You got your, oh my god, I love this health arrow. This is fucking beautiful. 23 speed and a 16% health. I love that. That is a beautiful mod. It's really just about knowing which characters need an arrow that is not a speed arrow. I don't think I have a speed arrow on Bane. Yeah, okay, good. But, I mean, looking at this stuff, it looks like you are in order. I'm going to tell you my mod secret. People are always messaging me on Discord. They message me constantly, and they're like Black Hammer. I don't know if he's still here. I had to give him his own mod channel because I was sick of him posting all of his mods everywhere to me and him getting much better rolls on mods than I do. When it comes to mods, my cheat sheet is to go to Google, type in the character name, and I go, Ray Jedi Training.gg mods. And that's all I do. Like, I look at that. That is my secret for modding, is I look at what Kyber 1 players are doing, and I just do that. Right? And I go, oh, he needs a this arrow. And like, oh, he needs a this cross. And I don't question it. It works for me. It's very rare doing that. That's my super deep secret. Doing that, I've never felt like a counter didn't work because of my mods. But I do think you need to get Jabba, because getting Jabba is going to put you in the position where you're able to keep up with mod upgrading, which you're probably having a hard time of doing now. Yeah, you know what, Black Hammer, but that's all you spend your crystals on. Like, we need to start a GoFundMe for Black Hammer, because I heard that he has 3 kids and he spends $400 a month on mods, and he sits outside of the Acme with his little can that says needs change, needs mods, and he just goes like this back and forth, and everybody feels bad. Yeah, you can. You don't need to type in the actual characters' names, but you do need to type in .gg. Otherwise, you get like that other gaming fans website also. So I always type in .gg as well, because it brings up that other website. And I don't know how good it is, but I prefer aggregated data versus like guesses or somebody talking about. I don't ask my guild because it takes too long. I just go to .gg. I do it that way. It works beautifully. I'm happy that way. It makes my life easier. I am a work smarter, not harder person, right? So like I try to, as little effort as possible to be on the top. And I'm crawling my way there, and we'll see where we get there. But with all of that said, today was going to be a shorter one. We always knew today was going to be a shorter one. We're going to see A Quiet Place 2 today, and then I'm going to hit up my favorite wing spot in the like Westchester area. I don't remember the actual town that it's in, and hanging out with the in-laws. So we're gonna call it a day at that pretty quick. I might do something tomorrow morning because my raid will refresh tonight, and I'll get the new raid. So I'm thinking I might do that. Depending, we'll see what happens if I can make that work out. So if you guys want to see me stumble through and try things, I'll be on maybe at my normal time, which is more like 8 a.m. EST. Once again, guys, I always appreciate when people come in, they say hi, they do their stuff. I love chatting with everybody. I love the trust that the community has given me, and the belief in it, and I appreciate that. I'm just pulling up. I want to see if anybody's even watching on Twitch, because I notice. Oh, Quiet Place 3, right? I forgot there was a second one. We're going to see it at 10, so like in an hour. Most of my people, you guys watch on YouTube, but if anyone's... a lot of you are on Twitch, because Cap is on Twitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to raid Lysol, because I like raiding Lysol. Raid. And then we'll call it a day. Where is this? Trash. Slash raid. DCU, I think you're popping in like right at the tail end, but it's all right. We're gonna raid him, and then I'm gonna go see the movies. So give him some love. I like this guy. He's a good dude, and he has a new baby at home. So I don't know how he finds the fucking time to do this, but good on him.